I never believed in cursed objects. Ghost stories were just that, stories. But everything changed when I found that diary. It was hidden beneath the floorboards of my grandmother's old house in Black Hollow, a town with more whispers than people. I should have left it there. The diary was old, bound in cracked leather, its pages yellowed with time. The name inside was illegible, smudged by what looked like dried blood. I hesitated, but curiosity won. The first entry was dated 1886, written in frantic, uneven strokes. I see them watching me from the woods. Their eyes glow like embers. They whisper in a tongue I do not understand. I fear they will come for me tonight. That night, I heard whispers outside my window. At first, I thought it was the wind, but the voices were too distinct, soft, insidious, beckoning. I closed the book and shoved it under my bed. Sleep did not come easily. Each night I read more, and each night the whispers grew louder. Shadows moved where shadows should not be. The diary spoke of a curse, of a family who had wronged something ancient. It told of a ritual, one meant to seal the evil, but it had failed. The writer's fate was unknown. The final entry read, "They are inside the house." I am not alone anymore. I spent hours researching the diary's origins. The surname Blackwood surfaced repeatedly, a family that had vanished mysteriously in the late 1800s. Town records were scarce, but I found an old newspaper clipping from 1887. Entire Blackwood family disappears. House found empty, doors open, dinner set untouched. Only clue, a diary, later lost. Was this the same diary? Had it returned to be found again? Over the following weeks, my reality began to warp. My reflection lingered too long in mirrors. Doors locked themselves. I would wake up with the diary open beside me, flipped to pages I hadn't yet read. At night, I felt breath on my neck, though I was alone. Then, on the seventh night, I saw them, figures with ember-like eyes standing at the foot of my bed. The whispers turned to deafening screams. The diary had taken hold of me. One night I woke up to find the diary open on my chest. The pages were blank except for a fresh entry in my own handwriting, though I had not written it. They are watching me. They are closer now. I slammed the diary shut, but a whisper hissed from the pages. "It's too late." The ritual attempt. Desperate, I searched for ways to break the curse. The diary had mentioned an unfinished ritual, a sealing ceremony that required fire, salt, and blood. I followed every step, drawing symbols in salt around my bed, setting the diary in a circle of candles and pricking my finger to let a single drop of blood fall onto its cover. The house trembled. The shadows shrieked. For a moment, I thought it was working until the candles blew out all at once. The diary snapped open, pages flipping violently as if a storm raged within them. And then I saw the final message. "You cannot seal what has already been unleashed." That night, I felt something climb into bed with me. A weight pressed against my chest. My body refused to move. Cold breath tickled my ear, and a voice whispered, "The story must continue. The escape or the end." I fled the house that night, never looking back. But the whispers followed. The diary was gone, but its words were burned into my mind. Every night I hear the same phrase repeated over and over. "You should not have read this. Now you are part of the story." The nightmares began immediately. Dark figures watched from corners, faces obscured by shadows. My phone screen glitched, showing text that wasn't there before. At work, I caught glimpses of something moving just out of sight. I was never alone. One night, my phone vibrated at 3:33 a.m. A message appeared with no sender. The story continues. I tried leaving town, but every road led me back. Black Hollow wouldn't let me go. My grandmother's house stood dark and waiting, its door slightly ajar. The diary would be inside, waiting for the next reader. I found myself standing in front of the house again, my hands trembling as I reached for the doorknob. The air inside was thick with dust and the scent of decay. The diary lay open on the floor, its pages fluttering despite the stillness in the air. I stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind me. The final passage of the diary was already written. Welcome home. As I sit here writing this last entry, I realize the truth. The diary never wanted to be destroyed. It wanted to be passed on. It needed a new storyteller. And now it has one. If you ever find an old diary hidden beneath the floorboards of a forgotten house, burn it. If it lets you, the discovery deepens. After finding the diary, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching me. The whispers outside my window grew louder each night, and soon they weren't confined to the dark. I began hearing them during the day, soft murmurs in empty rooms, faint voices in crowded streets. The diary's presence was suffocating, yet I couldn't stop reading it. Each entry pulled me further into its world. One passage described a figure cloaked in shadows, standing at the edge of the woods near Black Hollow. The writer claimed this figure whispered promises of salvation, but demanded something in return. The diary didn't specify what was given, only that the deal had been struck and that it had gone horribly wrong. Unraveling the curse. Determined to understand more, I visited the town's library. Its archives were sparse, but I unearthed a journal from a local historian who had written extensively about the Blackwood family's disappearance. According to his notes, strange occurrences plagued Black Hollow for years after their vanishing. Crops failed inexplicably, livestock died overnight, and residents reported seeing glowing eyes in the woods. One account stood out. A farmer claimed he found a diary on his doorstep one morning. By nightfall, his entire family had disappeared without a trace. The diary was never recovered. A new companion. The whispers weren't the only thing haunting me now. Shadows began to take shape, humanoid figures that lingered just out of sight. At first, they were fleeting glimpses, a silhouette in the corner of my eye, or a shadow that didn't match its source. But soon, they became bolder. One night, I saw one sitting at my desk, its ember-like eyes fixed on me. I tried ignoring them, but they wouldn't leave. They followed me everywhere, silent, watchful. Their presence was oppressive, yet oddly familiar, as if they had always been there, waiting for me to notice. The ritual revisited. The diary hinted at rituals beyond the failed sealing ceremony, a way to appease the entities rather than banish them. It required offerings, personal items imbued with emotional significance, and something living. The thought repulsed me, but desperation outweighed morality. I gathered objects that held meaning, a childhood toy, my grandmother's locket, and placed them in a circle around the diary. For hours, I begged for release from its grip. The shadows grew restless. Their movements became frantic, as if urging me forward. When dawn broke, I realized nothing had changed. The entities remained, and the whispers grew louder. Black Hollow's secrets. I wasn't alone in my torment. Others in Black Hollow were affected too. A neighbor confided she'd seen figures with glowing eyes watching her from her garden at night. Another claimed her mirrors reflected faces that weren't hers. I began piecing together a pattern. Everyone who experienced these phenomena had ties to the Blackwood family, descendants of servants or distant relatives who had lived in their home before its abandonment. The diary's true purpose. One night, as I read yet another entry filled with cryptic warnings and pleas for salvation, I realized something chilling. The diary wasn't documenting events, it was creating them. Each entry seemed to manifest its contents into reality. The final pages revealed its ultimate goal, to spread its curse beyond Black Hollow. It wasn't just a record, it was an invitation, a trap for anyone foolish enough to open it. Confrontation. Unable to bear it any longer, I decided to confront whatever force controlled the diary directly. Armed with salt and sage, I returned to my grandmother's house, the place where it all began. The house was darker than I remembered. Its walls seemed to pulse with malevolence. As I stepped inside, shadows swarmed around me like vultures circling prey. The diary lay open on the floor, its pages blank, except for one word scrawled repeatedly: welcome. The final chapter. As I write this now, I know there's no escape, not for me or anyone else who reads these words. The diary doesn't just want readers, it wants storytellers, people who will carry its curse forward and ensure it survives. If you ever find an old diary hidden beneath floorboards or tucked away in forgotten corners, don't read it. Burn it if you can. But know this, it might already be too late.